Yeah, so he goes into sort of straight-laced.
Starmer's recent decisions have placed him in a precarious position that could seriously jeopardize Britain's relationship with its closest ally. What's more alarming, this is just the beginning of his diplomatic challenges. Yes, you heard that right. Things are only going to get more complicated from here. Trump's rejection of Mandelson is merely the first domino in what could become a series of diplomatic missteps. Starmer must brace himself as he navigates an increasingly treacherous path in international politics. If Trump decides to reject Mandelson, it could severely tarnish Starmer's international reputation and cast doubt on his leadership capabilities. While Starmer seems to be playing checkers, others on the global stage appear to be playing chess. The repercussions of such a rejection would be profound. Ambassadors play a pivotal role in fostering relationships between nations, negotiating trade agreements, and safeguarding mutual interests. Without a British ambassador in Washington, critical discussions on trade, security, and global policy could grind to a halt. This diplomatic instability highlights not only the fragility of international relations, but also the urgent need for sound, strategic decision-making in foreign policy.
The British are coming, that's what the Trump campaign said, as they accused the UK Labour Party of blatant foreign interference in the American election. The whole thing seems to have started over this post on LinkedIn. The Labour Party's head of operation asked for people to go to America to campaign for Kamala Harris in the battleground states. It says nearly 100 people are signed up already and that they'll sort housing. The LinkedIn post was mentioned in a filing the Trump campaign sent to the Federal Election Commission. That's the independent body that oversees American elections and enforces the rules around campaign finance. The Trump campaign are arguing that this amounts to illegal foreign national contributions.
The rejection of Starmer's ambassadorial candidate has caused a significant stir. Typically, appointing an ambassador is a routine process, but Starmer's nomination of Peter Mandelson has sparked controversy. Trump's team has raised concerns about Mandelson's ties to China, citing his work with Chinese companies and public praise of their economic policies, stances that clash with Trump's critical views on China's trade practices and intellectual property violations.
Eventually, the problem with Keir Starmer is that his MO now is that he kind of sets out his stall. He decides, right, I'm going to go out there and make a statement. And instead of sort of calming the waters and instead of sorting out the system and making sure that everybody now understands we're on this page, he sort of makes it worse.
Yes.
He doesn't seem to have the capability of calming a situation down. Like, remember when he came out with the far-right thugs and in the midst of all the riot stuff and started saying we were going to, we're going to prosecute people to the fullest extent of the law. That wasn't what people needed to hear at that point.
No,
they needed to hear, look, I understand why people are angry, but you can't be doing this.
Yes.
That's what he should have said.
Traditionally, the appointment of an ambassador is a routine matter of mutual respect and diplomacy. However, this time, Trump's team is reportedly considering outright rejecting Keir Starmer's nominee, Peter Mandelson, a move that is virtually unheard of. When was the last time a country outright refused to accept another's ambassador? Such instances are exceedingly rare, making this situation not just a diplomatic hiccup, but a full-blown crisis for Starmer.
Oh God, the president's on the phone, and this is a foreshadowing.
Where is Starmer? Likely sipping champagne in a lavish Brussels conference room, seemingly disconnected from the genuine concerns of the British people. Ironically, while he focuses on strengthening ties with the EU and China, relationships with even our closest allies are deteriorating. Canada and Mexico, once staunch supporters of the UK, are beginning to drift away, largely due to the Prime Minister's fixation on Brussels and Beijing. Remember when Great Britain had strong, thriving connections with North American countries? Those days seem to be fading fast. Consider Trump's proposed 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. These tariffs are causing significant turmoil, yet Starmer appears oblivious. A strong leader would step in, ease tensions, and embrace the role of a diplomat. Instead, our Prime Minister remains preoccupied with his European and Chinese counterparts. Do you remember when Great Britain was regarded as a global leader, commanding respect on the world stage? Starmer seems to be steering the nation in a very different direction. In just 5 months, he has spent nearly a month traveling abroad, focusing primarily on Brussels and Beijing. But why is he overlooking our closest ally across the Atlantic? The answer may surprise you, and undoubtedly raise eyebrows among world leaders. Let's break it down. In those 5 months, the Prime Minister has spent 26 days abroad, equivalent to almost an entire month. And where has he been? Brussels and Beijing seem to dominate his agenda, leaving many to question why the United States, a vital ally, is not receiving the attention it deserves. Is this a strategic oversight or a deliberate shift in priorities? Either way, the implications for Britain's foreign policy are significant and demand scrutiny. Take Canada and Mexico, for example. They're forging stronger ties with the United States and enhancing economic cooperation, while the UK remains on the sidelines. The Commonwealth nations are no exception. Many are pursuing trade and security agreements elsewhere, because Starmer seems unwilling to look beyond the English Channel. And let's not forget the Chagos Islands, a glaring example of neglect in addressing key geopolitical and historical issues. This short-sighted approach risks leaving the UK isolated, missing out on opportunities to strengthen its position on the global stage. It's time to broaden the focus and recognise the value of relationships that extend far beyond Europe and Asia.